Chapter 6. Elena had always believed she was a good judge of character. She had spent years learning from her past mistakes, sharpening her instincts, and refusing to be fooled again. But now, standing at the precipice of a revelation that could shatter everything she had built with Nicholas, she realized maybe she had been wrong. Maybe she had trusted the wrong man. And maybe, just maybe, the person she should have been most afraid of was the one she had fallen for. Elena hadn't been able to shake the anonymous messages from her mind. Nicholas had given her an answer, one that should have satisfied her, and yet something about it didn't sit right. She betrayed me. She disappeared. No one has seen or heard from her since. The words haunted her, an eerie echo in the back of her mind. She needed answers. So she did something she had promised herself she'd never do. She met with Aaron. "Are you sure no one saw you?" Elena asked, glancing around the dimly lit cafe. Aaron smirked, leaning back in his seat. "What, afraid your boyfriend will find out?" She tensed. "I didn't come here for games, Aaron." His smirk faded. "Then let's stop pretending. You came because you know something isn't right with him." She hated how much truth was in his words. With a sigh, she folded her arms. "Tell me what you know." Aaron's expression turned serious. "Nicholas Lancaster isn't just a businessman, Elena. He's ruthless, calculated. People who cross him don't just lose deals, they disappear." Her stomach twisted. "You're talking about the woman before me." "Yes," Aaron confirmed. Her name was Victoria Hayes. She was smart, powerful, and just as ambitious as Nicholas, but one day she vanished. No explanations, no traces. Just gone. Elena swallowed hard. "And you think he had something to do with it?" Aaron leaned forward, lowering his voice. "I know he did." Her heart pounded. "How?" Aaron hesitated before sliding a file across the table. "This is everything I could find on Victoria's disappearance. Bank records, last known locations, a police report that was quietly closed before it even got traction. Someone made sure no one asked too many questions, and who has the power to do that?" Elena stared at the file, her hands trembling. Nicholas Lancaster did. Elena barely remembered getting back to her apartment. She sat on her bed, staring at the file, her mind spinning. Everything inside her screamed that this wasn't real, that Nicholas wasn't a monster, that the man who had defended her, protected her, seen her, wasn't capable of something so cruel. And yet, the facts were in front of her. Victoria had been real. She had been in Nicholas's life, and now she was gone without a trace. What if I'm next? The thought sent ice through her veins. She needed to confront him, but she also needed to be careful, because if Aaron was right, she might be in far more danger than she ever realized. That night, Elena stepped into Nicholas's penthouse, her heart pounding. He was in his study, a glass of whiskey in hand, his expression unreadable. "You've been quiet today," he observed, swirling the amber liquid. She swallowed. "I was thinking." Nicholas raised an eyebrow. "About what?" She hesitated. "Do I tell him? Do I run?" Instead, she forced herself to meet his gaze. "About trust." Something flickered in his eyes, something unreadable. "And have you decided if you trust me?" Elena felt the weight of the file in her bag pressing against her side like a secret burning through fabric. For the first time, she wasn't sure how to answer, because the truth was, she wanted to trust him. But trust had led her into heartbreak before, and she wasn't sure she'd survive it a second time. Chapter 7. Elena had always believed that truth was black and white, that knowing the facts would make everything clear. But as she stood on the edge of a revelation that could shatter everything she had built with Nicholas, she realized truth wasn't simple. And sometimes it was far more dangerous than a lie. Elena barely slept. The weight of the file Aaron had given her pressed against her mind like a boulder, suffocating her thoughts. She kept replaying Nicholas's words. She betrayed me. She disappeared. Had he been telling the truth? Or had he carefully chosen those words to make himself seem innocent? And then there was Aaron. He had every reason to want to break her and Nicholas apart. He had lost her. He regretted it. He wanted her back. But would he lie about something this serious? The only way to know the truth was to find out for herself. The next morning, Elena made a decision. She needed to find Victoria Hayes. If she was alive, if she had simply run away, then Nicholas was innocent. But if she was truly missing, if every trace of her had been wiped from existence, then she would know the kind of man she had married. With the help of an investigator, she tracked down Victoria's last known residence, an upscale apartment in the city. What she found made her blood run cold. The apartment had been abandoned for 2 years. Furniture left untouched, a layer of dust settling over forgotten belongings. It was as if Victoria had vanished into thin air. Elena's hands trembled as she flipped through a stack of unopened mail. And then she saw it. A single letter. Never sent. It was addressed to Nicholas Lancaster. Elena's heart pounded as she carefully unfolded the letter, her breath catching as she read the first words. Nicholas, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. I know you'll come looking for me, but you need to stop. You need to let me go. I never wanted to betray you, but I had no choice. I was threatened, blackmailed, and I did what I had to do to survive. If I had told you, they would have killed me. You once told me you would protect me from anything. But what if the danger was something even you couldn't control? I hope one day you understand, and I hope you find someone who can love you the way I never could. Elena's blood ran cold. Victoria hadn't disappeared because of Nicholas. She had run from something or someone else, and Nicholas had been searching for her ever since. She had doubted him, she had feared him, and all along he had been protecting a woman who had betrayed him, a woman who had still meant something to him. That night, Elena walked into Nicholas's study, the letter clutched in her trembling hand. Nicholas looked up from his desk, his dark gaze sharp as it landed on her. You went looking for her, he said, his voice dangerously calm. Elena swallowed. I had to. His jaw tightened. And what did you find? She held up the letter. The truth. For the first time, something in Nicholas's expression cracked. Slowly, he rose to his feet, his eyes never leaving hers. So now you know. Elena's heart pounded. Why didn't you tell me? Would you have believed me? He asked quietly. She opened her mouth, but no words came. Because the truth was, she hadn't believed him. She had let her doubts, her fears, and Aaron's manipulations cloud her judgment, and she had nearly walked away from the one man who had never once betrayed her. Nicholas stepped closer, his voice low. You doubted me. Guilt twisted in her chest. You thought I was a murderer? He murmured, brushing his fingers over her cheek. A shiver ran down her spine. He wasn't angry. He was hurt. And somehow that was worse. I'm sorry, she whispered, her voice breaking. Nicholas studied her, his gaze unreadable. Then, after what felt like an eternity, he exhaled softly. I don't need an apology, Elena. I need to know if you still trust me. Tears burned in her eyes as she reached for his hand, threading her fingers through his. Yes, she breathed. Nicholas's grip tightened ever so slightly, as if he were holding on to the last shred of faith he had in her. Then we have a bigger problem, he murmured. Elena frowned. What do you mean? Nicholas's expression darkened. If someone sent you that message about Victoria, he said, his voice low and dangerous, then that means whoever was after her is still watching. A chill ran down Elena's spine. This wasn't over. In fact, it was just the beginning. Chapter 8, the finale. Elena had spent years healing from her past. She had rebuilt her life, risen from the ashes, and found love in the most unexpected place. But the past had never truly let her go. And now, as the final pieces of the puzzle fell into place, she realized everything had been leading to this moment, a moment where she would have to make an impossible choice, a moment where regret would no longer matter, because it was already too late. Nicholas had always been a man of control, but as he stood in his office, gripping the letter from Victoria, his expression turned unreadable. Someone wanted you to find this, he murmured, his sharp gaze locked onto Elena. Elena nodded. They wanted me to doubt you. A muscle in his jaw twitched. And you did. She swallowed hard. I know now that I was wrong, but Nicholas, this isn't just about us. Whoever threatened Victoria, whoever made her run, they knew you would come looking for her. Nicholas's fingers tightened around the letter before he abruptly turned away. Elena watched as he walked to his desk, pulling open a locked drawer and retrieving a sleek black folder. He tossed it onto the table. Victoria was involved with something dangerous before she disappeared. Elena hesitated before flipping the folder open. Inside were surveillance photos, bank records, and reports that made her blood run cold. She was being blackmailed? Elena asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Nicholas nodded. By an old enemy of mine. Someone I should have dealt with a long time ago. Elena felt a chill creep over her. Who? Nicholas's gaze darkened. Someone who has now set their sights on you. The rooftop was eerily quiet when Elena arrived. The city lights glowed in the distance, but up here, it felt like another world, one where danger lurked in the shadows. Aaron was waiting for her. He leaned casually against his car, but the tension in his stance told her this was anything but casual. "You actually came," he murmured, a smirk playing on his lips. Elena crossed her arms. "What do you want, Aaron?" His eyes flickered with something unreadable. "To warn you," she frowned. "Warn me about what?" Aaron stepped closer. "Nicholas isn't the man you think he is." Elena's patience snapped. "Enough, Aaron. I know about Victoria. I know she was being blackmailed. And I know you've been trying to turn me against Nicholas." Aaron's smirk faltered for a fraction of a second. Elena took a step closer. "Why, Aaron? What do you get out of this?" And then she saw it, the flicker of guilt, the hesitation, the way his fingers twitched slightly, like he was caught between two choices. Realization slammed into her. "You're the one who leaked information about Victoria, aren't you?" she whispered. Aaron's jaw tightened. "You don't understand. Did you know who was threatening her?" Elena's voice shook. Aaron looked away, and that was all the confirmation she needed. "You knew," she breathed, horror washing over her. "You knew she was in danger, and you let her run for her life anyway, Kyle. And now you tried to use her story to break me and Nicholas apart." Aaron's hands curled into fists. "I was trying to save you, Elena. By manipulating me?" She shook her head in disbelief. "Or was it just about hurting Nicholas?" His silence was deafening, and then a new voice cut through the night. "You were never very good at deception, Aaron." Elena's breath caught as Nicholas stepped out of the shadows. His gaze was like steel, cold and unreadable. Aaron stiffened. "You had her followed." Nicholas tilted his head slightly. "Did you really think I'd let her walk into a trap alone?" Elena's heart pounded. He had known. Nicholas's eyes flicked to her, something unreadable in them. Then his attention returned to Aaron. "You tried to turn her against me. You failed." Aaron's expression darkened. "I did what I had to." Nicholas took a slow step forward, his presence suffocating. "Then you made a grave mistake." Tension crackled in the air like a brewing storm, and for the first time Elena saw it. The fear in Aaron's eyes. He had spent so much time trying to destroy Nicholas, but now he realized he had just destroyed himself. Nicholas didn't have to do anything. The weight of Aaron's choices had already sealed his fate. Elena stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. "We're done, Aaron. You made your choice the day you walked away from me." Something in Aaron's expression shattered. She had once thought she loved him, but now, looking at the man in front of her, she realized she had only loved the idea of him. Nicholas reached for her hand. She didn't hesitate. Aaron watched as they walked away together, and as the city lights glowed in the distance, he finally understood. Regret didn't matter anymore, because it was already too late. Epilogue, a love worth fighting for. Days later, as Elena stood beside Nicholas, she finally felt at peace. There would always be ghosts of the past, but they no longer had power over her. She had chosen her future, and as Nicholas gently tilted her chin up, pressing a soft, lingering kiss against her lips, she knew she had chosen right. 1 year later. A year had passed since that fateful night on the rooftop, where secrets had unraveled and a new chapter had begun. Elena stood on the balcony of their apartment, gazing out at the shimmering city skyline. The sun dipped low, painting the horizon in hues of orange and pink, and a sense of serenity washed over her. It had been a year filled with challenges, but also one of incredible growth and healing. Nicholas had fought for her in ways she had never expected. After they had confronted Aaron, they had taken the necessary steps to ensure their safety, uncovering the truth behind Victoria's disappearance and dismantling the network that had threatened them both. With time, the weight of the past had lessened, replaced by a newfound hope. Elena smiled as she felt Nicholas's arms wrap around her waist from behind, pulling her close. "Beautiful view, isn't it?" he murmured, pressing a kiss to her temple. She nodded, leaning into his embrace. "It really is. I love how it feels like anything is possible." He chuckled softly. "It always has been, Elena. You just needed to see it." Their journey hadn't been easy. Elena had learned to navigate the complexities of her relationship with Nicholas, understanding that trust had to be rebuilt piece by piece. But each day, as they worked together, shared laughter, and faced the world hand in hand, that trust had blossomed into something unshakable. They had also forged a bond with Victoria's family, helping them find closure. The investigation had led to the arrest of those responsible for the threats, allowing everyone involved to breathe a little easier. Elena had even taken up a role in a local charity, working with victims of abuse and helping them reclaim their lives, a way to turn her pain into purpose. As the sun finally dipped below the horizon, Nicholas turned her to face him. "Speaking of possibilities," he said, a hint of mischief in his eyes. "What do you mean?" Elena asked, curiosity piqued. He reached into his pocket, pulling out a small velvet box. Her heart raced as he knelt before her, his expression earnest and unwavering. "Elena," he began, "this past year has shown me what truly matters. You've become my everything. I can't imagine my life without you. Will you marry me?" The world seemed to stop. Her breath caught as she looked at the ring, a delicate band with a stunning emerald surrounded by diamonds. It was perfect. Tears filled her eyes as she nodded vigorously. "Yes, yes, of course." He slipped the ring onto her finger, and they both laughed, embracing tightly as joy bubbled between them. Elena felt a warmth spread through her, a sense of belonging and purpose. 1 year had transformed everything, from pain and doubt to love and commitment. They stepped back onto the balcony, hands intertwined, ready to face whatever life threw at them. Because together, they could conquer anything. As the stars began to twinkle overhead, Elena whispered, "I can't wait to build our future together." Nicholas smiled, squeezing her hand. "Neither can I, my love." And as they watched the city glow, they knew that this was just the beginning of their forever. Thank you for joining us. Elena and Nicholas proved that even in the face of adversity, true love can prevail and heal the deepest wounds. As they embark on a new chapter together, we hope their story inspires you to embrace your own journey, filled with courage and hope. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to hit that like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear what you loved most about Elena and Nicholas's journey. And don't forget to subscribe for more captivating stories that tug at your heartstrings and keep you on the edge of your seat. Until next time, keep dreaming and believing in love.